Schaefer here with you, and we're kind of in a little bit of a limbo week. We're out of the transfer portal for college football. Mizzou, not a lot of Mizzou football news really circulating, some coaching changes. Mizzou basketball has really the week off until Saturday. Last game was last Saturday. We do have Mizzou softball and baseball starting in just a couple of weeks. So we're kind of in the middle of everything on this hump day Wednesday, Mr. Schaefer.
It's that week of college basketball season where you don't have a midweek to talk about for the Tigers. And it's a stretch of like we put the two games together. We looked at Mississippi State and South Carolina as a two-pack of I don't care how you do it. I don't want to hear the reasons that you might not be able. Just win them, because if you don't, we don't really have a lot to talk about thereafter when it comes to NCAA tournament hopes. And it's a road game on Saturday against South Carolina, but it's just one they've got to get. So they got the first one, and now we're in that waiting period where it's like this isn't. Let's say they were playing a home game against a big time ranked opponent on Saturday. We would be kind of gearing up, even if it's 3 days away. Yeah. But it's kind of hard to gear up for a game where the expectation is 100%. You just have to win. Yet it is a college basketball road game, and so you're kind of uneasy about it. It's a weird Wednesday. There's no doubt about it.
A weird Wednesday. I like that. That might have to be the title of the show today. As you said, it's kind of that you paired these together of games you had to get with Miss State and South Carolina. First half of that equation done. I believe yesterday, as I'm pulling up the scores, South Carolina lost. Yeah, they lost to Texas 84-75. So a team that got beat up a little bit by the Longhorns. The Longhorns play a physical style of basketball. Guy to be on the lookout for is definitely Michi Johnson. He's averaging over 16, had 35 points last night on 12 for 21 shooting. So
he was almost half their scoring.
Yeah, he's gonna be he's gonna be one to watch out for when Mizzou travels to Columbia, South Carolina on Saturday.
Yeah, the other game in the SEC last night, Tennessee over Ole Miss. It just feels bad that Mizzou lost this year. They're 3-6 in conference play now. That was an 18-point for the Rebels. Yeah. That game, the LSU game, we're
one of them.
We're just sitting in that what could have been, I think, for Mizzou. And they're still, again, if they handle their business the rest of the way, I think we both feel that they're going to be in position to be able to get to an NCAA tournament, but the path, they made it a lot more difficult on themselves.
They did, without a doubt. And the thing is, you just have to keep stacking wins. And that's why that LSU Ole Miss game hurts so bad. And we've talked about it at length, but you just find one of those and you're 6-3 right now in the SEC. You're feeling pretty darn good about yourselves and your hopes to make the NCAA tournament. We've talked about their path. Now, let's talk about a couple of the players that we think, I think it's a good time to grade some players. Are you interested in that? I think
we can do that. Are we at a mid-season? We're a little beyond mid-season, but we're conference play. That's an excuse.
Yeah, we're halfway through conference play, and to be fair, in the non-con, we really only saw Mizzou play, 4 real games? So
yeah, if that.
Yeah, I mean, so let's go through this roster a little bit. Let's start up top with who I think has been their best player this year, Mark Mitchell, the most consistent player. He's averaging 17.5 points, 3.3 assists, 5.5 rebounds. I mean, I give his season so far an A. It's kind of hard to argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly been their most consistently productive player. A- for me.
Yeah.
It's really just the free throws. His overall percentage is 65.7, which is, it's not great. You want it to be higher because he gets to the line so often, but there have just been a couple of games where I'm like, how are you 1 for 8 from the free throw line? A minus. I think he's largely been what you need him to be. I mean, obviously the big buzzer beater changes the scope of this conversation, because without that shot going down, we're probably not really talking about
No,
Mizzou basketball. we're,
definitely not.
We're taking MIZ Central and leading with the SLU comeback
Yes.
today. I think
Yes.
if not for Mark Mitchell keeping a minute with that win over Oklahoma. So yeah, A minus. Maybe I'm being a little punitive because the free throw stuff bothers me so much, but 65% is honestly, I thought I would look up and see it a little lower than that. So even that's not terrible. Would like to see him at 70% or above. But yeah, A minus, and I'm not going to fault you for an A grade. He's certainly been, like, coming into the season, when you kind of looked across and said, okay, XYZ, these guys here's where they need to be. I think Mark Mitchell is probably about as close to that level as you would have said for any of the guys that you pegged to be starters.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if the guy that I'm going to give an outright A to was really pegged to be a starter. I'm not going to even punish him for getting hurt. I'm going straight up A for Jaden Stone,
Yes,
in my opinion.
I think without a doubt what he's done, 14.6 points per game, 2.5 assists, 5 rebounds. Really, the only thing you can knock him on is maybe get his assist numbers up a little bit. But he is, if you talk about Mark Mitchell having an A because he's been everything you wanted, Jaden Stone saved your season.
Yeah. He might be an A plus, Grant. Like, I'm not saying he's been a perfect player, but he's been pretty close to like perfect for what Mizzou has needed. And you mentioned the assists. I don't even really worry about that too much with him, because when you think about it, when he was out, the problem with the team was, you don't have anybody who can score other than Mark Mitchell, and like pray that Jacob Cruz has an above average shooting night if he's going to launch 7 or 8 threes. But Jaden Stone, is a guy who can score, can create his own shot. Mark Mitchell can create for himself as well. So I don't really need Jaden Stone assisting too many of the Mark Mitchell buckets, because he's not like a spot up shooter. He's just he's going to see that the defense is aligned in such a way that allows him to drive the lane. And that's where Mark Mitchell gets his. So Jaden Stone, you can get more assists, but there's not really a lot of guys I'd rather be seeing shoot the ball than him. So if it's in his hands, I'm cool with whatever he wants to do with it.
All right, let's go to another guard. Anthony Robinson. No, I'll save Anthony Robinson because I think we have a lot to talk about with him and another player on this team.
He'll be the most polarizing selection.
Let's go to T.O. Barrett.
Okay.
I'd say a B minus.
Okay. How do you arrive at that?
Because I think that when beginning of the season, we still were kind of unsure what T.O. Barrett was. But as his playing time has increased, I believe his play has increased, has improved as well. You look at his last few games, 13 points, 21, 9, 11, 13. That's really since he's gotten more of a run out, and he's averaging 2.5 rebounds a game. But really, since he's been a starter, he's averaging over 4 rebounds a game. So the things that he can do, he gets a lot of steals, kind of like Anthony Robinson. He's not as good as a defender as Anthony Robinson. Really, it's a B minus because, and really, I'd be okay even if you gave him a C plus because of the turnovers. He still hasn't been great taking care of the basketball.
Couple per game, but that is really higher because he, in a lot of those early games, wasn't playing as much, so he probably wasn't turning it over as much. I'm going to be a lot more favorable to T.O. Barrett because I feel like when he started playing more is when you saw maybe a little bit of hope for them being able to pull this off without the best version of Anthony Robinson.
Okay.
Because before you're kind of just you're toggling on and off of whether or not Ant was going to have a good game or a game that was just, completely untenable. And now it's like you have another option to be able to kind of steady things. Sure, he does play with a little bit more of an erratic nature, but man, he's as good as anybody at knifing through the lane and getting his layups. And when he gets to the line, he knocks down his free throws. If you could erase the turnovers from his profile, he would be just pretty damn near a perfect point guard for my money. Didn't like the 2 games in a row where we had 5 seconds left and he kind of took it down too slowly. Even when the Trent Pierce shot fell, I was like a little bit skeptical about that one. I'm going to go B plus for for T.O. Barrett and his performance. I'm going to go C minus for Dennis Gates, taking as long as he did to get him into the flow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
With regard, not overall a grade for Gates, but specific to Pierce, like You got to
Barrett.
I keep calling him Pierce.
Yeah, it's okay.
Specific to Barrett, I think that should have been an alarm bell that sounded a little bit earlier.
Yes.
But I do give him credit for getting there eventually, because I don't know if you would have told me in December, like, hey, Gio Barrett's going to be like a mainstay of what they're trying to do night in, night out by the time you get to early February, I would have probably been surprised by that revelation, because I just didn't know that Gates was going to get there. It just seems like with the guys in that recruiting class, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, because in the other cases, maybe they're just not productive players at this level, but it just felt like we were just, I don't know, we were hyping up that we got a bunch of 4 stars, and then none of them were ever really going to be realistic contributors. Well, Barrett is, and I think that's something to note. And my excitement from where I was on him early in the season, where I thought maybe he'd take a step and then just wasn't seeing it, to now he's, behind Mark Mitchell, Jaden Stone. I think he's the guy that I want to be involved the most at this point in what they're doing. I'm B+ for Barrett, because I think he's come a long way.
All right, let's go to the guy you keep calling Barrett, Trent Pierce.
Just get Pierce out of the way so I stop messing up.
He made his debut against Florida. Has only played the SEC. He's a weird one to grade, because on paper he's averaging 9, 3 boards, 1 assist, but also when he comes back, the team gets an immediate shot of energy and is playing much, much better. I'll go B for Trent Pierce. I still think
I like that.
He has his nights, 4 points, 8. Like, he just doesn't shoot the ball great, but I think he does a lot on the defensive side. You don't see the rebounding side. And when Mizzou needs it so far this year, he's been game for the clutch bucket.
Yeah, and is it chicken or the egg, where like when Dennis Gates gives him that run, he ends up, the box score shows it at the end, versus when he doesn't get as many minutes, he's not as productive. Is he not as productive in those games, so Gates benches him, right? Like, that's kind of where I come to the chicken or the egg on it.
Yeah.
My stance is there's not enough talent on this team to be benching Trent Pierce for long stretches of time. And so, again, I'm going to knock Dennis Gates a little bit specific to the grading of this player. But I'm a B. I agree with you. Like, he is definitely not a perfect player. When I talk about him versus Jaden Stone, they came back at the same time. I think Stone has been more of a steady presence, but I think Pierce has been more of a on a given night he can carry you. That 5 for 7 from 3 against Auburn, where he put up a season high 18 points in that game. Man, when he's finding his shot, it's a lot of fun to watch. But he's also had, games where he's 1 for 5, 0 for 4 from 3, 1 for 6 from the field, only knocks down 1 3. So it's still, you're looking for that level for him, I think, of consistency. But I'm so glad that he's back compared to if he weren't. So yeah, it's at least a B, a high B, maybe not quite a B+, because as we said, there are some inconsistencies there.
And to be fair to him, when he was hurt, I wasn't really as worried about him being hurt as Stone was. And he's come back and it's been a big impact, mostly just because he was so inconsistent last year. One time he'd be shooting the lights out and be 15-point guy, and the next one it looked like he couldn't play defense and he couldn't shoot either. So he's been a lot more consistent of what you're going to get out of him. Even if he maybe isn't shooting great, he's still contributing to the team. Let's go, Honor Boateng, terrible injury. Luke Northweather, Trent Burns, I just don't think have played enough to really get a grade on any of those guys.
Yeah, none of them are relevant. I'm gonna try not to be mean to Luke Northweather. He wasn't supposed to play. He's played way more than he was supposed to because of those early season injuries. So I don't feel compelled to give a grade there.
Still don't think
Nicholas Randall, I feel even the same about. He's still kind of seeing minutes, which is
weird.
I don't understand, but that's a Gates thing more than the kid's fault.
Sebastian Mack, can we grade? I don't think so.
I was going to say, so far we've been very favorable in our grades. We've been a B level or higher on Mitchell, Stone, Pierce, and Barrett, and I think that's probably right. I think those are your 4 best players. Am I missing anybody?
No, I don't think so. And let's go Sebastian Mack. I'll give a D2. And part of it might be like we kind of talked about a Gates problem. I don't really know if it's his fault, because like you look at the games he was getting minutes in, albeit some bad teams, he's consistently scoring in the double digits, and then his minutes drop, and obviously he's not scoring as much. He had 17 points against Illinois. the last time he really got a run of minutes. So, like, I don't know if I can really blame Sebastian Mack, but also there must be something going on behind the scenes to where he's just not good enough.
You're right. I mean, the Illinois game, it's hard to really give him credit because it was like there wasn't really any pressurized aspects of that. He was getting minutes because it was a blowout, I think. Because that was you so again, you go non-conference through his box score and he's seeing minutes in the 20s and even hits 30 once consistently. The first kind of quote unquote real game of the season was Notre Dame, 6 minutes. Kansas, 11 minutes. Alcorn, Bethune-Cookman, 16, 18 minutes. So like it's trimmed down, and I think probably for good reason. Like the eye test with me has not been super great with him. And I think especially, and maybe it's more difficult when you're getting fewer opportunities, but it seems like anytime now he comes into a game, I'm just waiting for him to go back to the bench.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, well, we're wasting minutes that we could be potentially cutting into a deficit or building a lead, but instead we've got this player out there just kind of like doing his thing.
He comes out if Barrett or Anthony Robinson are in foul trouble, and then the other one comes out and has a bad turnover or two. You're like, all right, let's get Mac out there just to stop the bleeding for a couple minutes.
He's just doing cardio out there. I feel like, and like you need that role to be a scoring role that can also handle the ball. It's not like he's coming in and turning it over 10 times. He's got he's got 2 turnovers over his last 5 games across 30 minutes of floor time. Like that's okay.
No,
that's nothing egregious.
But then like
is a ghost out there.
It's weird, like a close, tight game like Oklahoma that was important. 4 minutes, 4 points. Like I'm not sure. I don't know why he's playing 4 minutes and he had an okay 4 minutes. Like, like
I'm cool with it. This is not one that
No, it's not. I'm just
for not playing him enough.
No.
I just don't think he's looked good.
Yeah.
That's just my it's for the role they need him out there to play. There's going to be a couple other guys that I'd rather be seeing on the floor at a given time.
Okay. All right, let's go.
So I agree with D, by the way. D plus.
D.
I'm not gonna, I think he's been, and by the way, I will go straight D. I'll take the plus away because I thought coming into the year when we got him, I was like, oh, that's going to be somebody that we're relying upon. And so by the very nature of the fact that we're not, I'm like, well, that's disappointment. It was not like we had a ton of splashes in the portal. He was one that came in a little later that I thought maybe he'll make up for that, and that just hasn't happened.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. Before we get into probably the 2 more polarizing players, one more, he's polarizing too, Sean Phillips. He's averaging 7 points, 5 rebounds a game, almost 8 points a game. I just don't know, because on paper, if you just look at his box score, especially the last few games, his rebounding numbers have been up. Everything on paper is what you want from Mizzou center. It's like, okay, it's the best numbers that a Mizzou center's really had under Gates, but also at the same time, he just, on the offensive side, he clogs up that paint.
Yeah, he'll make 2 dunks, and it'll happen in quick succession, usually within a game, where you're like, oh, here we go. We're going to start feeding Sean Phillips.
Yeah.
And he's like going to not fumble the ball away. And then it doesn't last. He can't make a free throw to save his life, which is maddening to me. And you mentioned it, clogging up and kind of just halting the flow of what the offense can be. And then, like, I'm not even going to go crazy crediting him for his rebounding. Like, you're 7 feet tall. You should be rebounding, and you should not be getting out rebounded in key moments by guys who are 5'10". But, I feel like for what he brings defensively, there's not been enough consistency there, and I'm also attributing and maybe assigning a little bit of the negative toward him for something that's not his fault. And you mentioned it. It's the fact that under Gates, we just haven't had that center, and it's like, okay, we're year 4. This is going to be the time that the guy you get in the portal is going to be able to be the big that you need.
Yeah.
And then, it's just the same old story where it's not really living up to, I think, what you would love to have, which is a guy that if he's your number 1 go-to center, you feel like you can have him on the floor for,
20 minutes.
20 minutes. And that's kind of 16 minutes against Mississippi State. I mean, that's not even half the game.
Yeah, but I'm fine with in 16 minutes, 6 boards. Like,
it's not that he's played terribly, but I just am underwhelmed, I think, by the role there. And so I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to be too punitive. C-. Can I say that? Like,
yes, that's
getting some box score stuff, but you've got some frustration as well.
I was going to go C- too, because I do think he's a really good rim protector. He couldn't do it against a 5'6" guy. But
that leads to a loss, right? So
ever since I called him soft against Georgia, his rebounding numbers 9, 8, and 6. So he must listen.
Sometimes he's not across the board with that intensity. If I was 7 foot 245, I can damn well promise you that I would be. Why can't we see someone be scrappy at that size? Does it tucker him out too fast? Like, what is it? Because he's got all the physical tools you could hope for. Just keep that motor on, man. That's all I want.
And I liked versus Mississippi State. He got a little fired up, got in someone's face. Like, that's what the team. It was in the first half. It was kind of if I remember, the first 8 minutes were kind of just a snooze fest. And Sean Phillips got in someone's face after they got in Anthony Robinson's face. Like, that is the things as your 7-1 center that you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to. The team needs a little bit of life. I think, honestly, he made a little bit more of a mockery of it than it really needed to. He made a bigger deal than it needed, but it injected a little bit of fire in his team. Like, that's the things he needs to be doing as well. Getting a little scrappy, getting in someone's face, boxing out, throwing the dunks down. Like, that's where Sean Phillips can make his name outside of the box score instead of just frustrating everyone that he's clogging up the paint for Mark Mitchell.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. There are some aspects of this that aren't his fault. Some aspects of it, though, where it's like the roster is the roster. And so if you want to have that rim protection, he's the guy that's got to be on the floor. How do you, as a coaching staff, how do you navigate that? I'm not even calling that an easy answer, but
yeah,
C- feels appropriate.
And
this is the first grade that of like the main contributors that we're giving that isn't overly glowing. And there has to be some of those, right? Because they're not where they want to be quite as a team. So I think we're starting to get into the nitty gritty on some of these more polarizing options.
Yeah. And I think the things that you say aren't his fault. It's like, it's kind of just a bad mix of Sean Phillips can't shoot. He has to be in the paint. Well, Mark Mitchell is one of the best drivers, slashers in college basketball, but he can't really shoot, so he needs to be in the paint. And
right, your best player is a guy who's like a power forward build, but is also going to handle the basketball, and he's not going to go down there and really post up.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to. It's a difficult dynamic because you want Mark Mitchell getting a touch on basically every Missouri possession, but the thing he does best, Sean Phillips might be in the way of sometimes. And
then you have a coaching staff on top of it that isn't great at coaching the half-court offense to figure out how to have them both on the court. And that's an issue.
And I don't think they've done a great job either of telling Phillips, like, here's how we fix this, right?
Yeah.
Here's how, and he doesn't move great. I don't think Phillips moves as good as I wish he did, because he could be coming up and setting screens and doing more. I just think, like, you could blame the coaching on that, or you could maybe acknowledge and say, okay, they're not asking him to do a lot of that because they've seen it and they don't think he can.
That's
at this level, you know.
That's the thing as well. I agree with that. That if they do so much, you can't make chicken salad out of, so. What's
I don't know.
You've never heard that? I'm not going to finish it because it involves cursing. You've never heard that saying? You always get on me. Can't make chicken salad out of chicken.
I think I get it now. Yeah.
Get it?
At first, where is he going with that? But I've used the context.
Sorry, I should have finished it all the way, and then
this is the first, because normally I'm throwing out idioms that you've heard. And that's one that I guess I've heard it, but it didn't come to me very quickly.
Yeah, you didn't clock it right away. Let's get into the most frustrating players. We teased it a little bit with Sean Phillips.
It's interesting because I would actually rank Phillips as more frustrating than one of the two that you're about to go to.
I think I know which one. The one I'm going to say that you think is less frustrating is Jacob Cruz.
Yeah, because it's not really Jacob Cruz's fault that he's playing as often as he is.
Yeah.
Or that he's in the role that he's in. I I wish he were a little bit more capable defensively. You see moments where he gets kind of that scrap and he's getting after it, but I don't really have a lot of ill will. My biggest problem with Jacob Cruz was at the beginning of the season when he was like the number 2 option for the offense, and that shouldn't be. But it's not really the case anymore. I like Jacob Cruz last year. I guess you could go back and find some tweets and say no, you didn't. But I was okay with him in the role that he was in, and then I feel like this year the problem is the thought that he was going to elevate into becoming something more was not realistic to me.
Yeah, I think last year Caleb Grill was your sharpshooter, and then Cruz would come on when Grill was off or when you really needed threes, and it would give you kind of a bridge between Grill time and Cruz time. Oh, he plays 15 minutes.
15 minutes. That's really what 12 to 17 minutes.
Come in, really bang a couple threes, and you're off. I think that the frustration still is now that his role has been reduced a little bit. He's not the main guy. Not that he's still playing a decent amount, but he's not the main contributor anymore on offense. Is that he's still getting good looks and he's just not making the shot. Like, that is frustrating. He's a very good shooter, and he's just, frankly, they're not going in right now.
I think he's been okay in conference play largely. I mean, he was 2 for 3 against Mississippi State, 2 for Bama, 40% against OU is 2 for 5. Georgia was 3 for 7. LSU 1 for 4 is really the only volume shooting day that didn't go well. Like, that's where he's out there doing cardio. I don't really know what he's bringing to the table because he's not a great defender. Playing 30 minutes against LSU, 1 for 5 from the floor, 1 for 4 from deep, 3 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. That's just bad. Like, when that's your box score and that you've played that many minutes, that was what he would do last year in 12 minutes, and he did it in 30 against LSU and just was a ghost out there. But then it's like Auburn 1 for 2, 16 minutes. That's the Jacob Cruz role that I appreciate. Made a 2-pointer as well. His shooting has been okay. He just should never be shooting, more than 3 or 4 times from deep, and like hit the 2s when you make them because there's a reason that you're attempting it because the defense is broken down. Like, why is he playing so many damn minutes and not doing anything while he's out there?
I know, 4.4% from 3, which is like above average, but also for a guy that's supposed to be the shooter, one of the best in the country, that should be around 40.
He's largely playing the role of like trying to space the floor a little bit for the people that are now. He's almost like the decoy that the defense kind of has to pay attention to, but you might not touch the basketball on the offensive possession in that role, and so you're not going to do as much. But that I feel like, and maybe the problem is the roster, that there's not a more dynamic player to get into those minutes, but you'd rather have somebody a little more dynamic that can do some more things than what we consistently see Cruz do. Tough to grade, though, I think.
Yeah, tough to grade for sure, because I think you mentioned the decoy. There's still a lot of gravity. I think that's the word I'd use towards Jacob Cruz, because I'm sure on every scouting report, he's on the list. He's one of the first names off.
35's a shooter.
Yeah, 35's a shooter. Don't let 35 catch and shoot. He'll make it. Like, so there's still, like, the guy in that corner that cruises and can't really play help defense, which I think helps Mark Mitchell, because if the guy crashes down, he gets Cruz a wide open shot. Like, there's still those things. It's just there's not a guy, like you said, that can shoot the leather off the basketball like Grill last year, to where it's like, well, we might have to start putting more attention towards Grill, which will leave Cruz wide open. They just don't have that. But all in all, I think I give a C- to Jacob Cruz.
I was going to say C- as well, which like feels, for as often as I'm maybe lamenting him while the game's happening, feels like a little bit generous, but I don't think he's as much the problem as it is roster construction and, just the role that he's in is maybe a little bit more where I come to some negatives about him. So yeah, I remember end of last season when it was said, like, Jacob Cruz announces he's coming back. My first thought was, has he told the coaches that? Like, are they cool back? But I was wrong. That was not correct for me to react that way, because clearly, Gates felt he could be a mainstay. So, and I say that a little bit in jest, but I wish he was more in the role that he was in last year.
I think so as well. Here we go. Here's the one. Anthony
Yeah.
Robinson the second. He's averaging 9 points, 3 assists, 3 boards. But in conference play, he has scored double digits once. He had 19 against Florida, 19, 8, and 5. And that's when we were like, oh, man, here we go. Here's Anthony Robinson. Then against Kentucky, 9 points, 10 assists. And since then, really since the LSU game, 4-2-1, 4-4-1, 2-1-1, 5-1, 9-2-1. It's been rough for Ant Rob since LSU. His best game in that stretch was against Mississippi State, though.
Yeah. He's averaging 5 more minutes per game than last year, which I know a lot was probably more toward the non-con, but he's shooting double the 3-point attempts per game, 1.5 last year per game to 3.1 this year, and he's making 0.8 per game compared to 0.6. His shooting percentage from 3 has gone from 40 down to 26.1. His free throw percentage has gone from 77.1 to 67.1.
Oh.
He's averaging, I said, 5 additional minutes. He's at only a third of a point more per game. 1.9 turnovers per game is up from last year, but on a per minute basis, that's not really any different. Assists are down a tick on a per game basis from last year. Wildly disappointing, in my opinion. Like, I can't go higher than a D, and if not for like those sporadic moments of the season, it would be an F. But he helped you win the Florida game, so you gotta give him credit for something. And him not stepping forward is why this season has not elevated beyond, barely outskirts of the bubble territory.
And I think that's where the frustration lies, because look, he steps forward against Florida and Kentucky, and they win both those games. And then he's played very poorly, and they've struggled since. So you need to see. And I was coming in thinking I'm going to give an F, and looking kind of at his trying not to be a prisoner of the moment. He has been good for large spurts of this year. It's just really been since that Kentucky game where he's been really poor. So it's weird to grade, but I think I would go D+ as well for Anthony Robinson.
I would go flat D. And I'm going to acknowledge that some of that is assigning blame to something that's not his fault. But also, when you're a highly touted recruit and you're the kind of number 2 point guard, or you're going to step up into being the main focal point of the offense, and then you flat out just don't elevate your game. Yeah, I mean, that's that's grounds for an F, quite frankly. Not entirely your fault. Maybe the coaching staff and the way they built their roster was asking you to be more than you could be. But this is high level competition. This is high major college basketball. There's no like, oh, Ant Robinson just wasn't quite capable of doing that consistently. It's not his fault. No, it kind of is.
Yeah.
It's more D-F, to be honest with you, because they needed him to be more than he was before, and he's been less in more minutes largely. So and his seeded ground is Theo Barrett. So I'll go D- and land it there. But incredibly disappointing. And again, like, I didn't think Mizzou would be anything more than just like barely nicking the bubble this year.
And they're doing that right now without him, basically.
Right. And I would have said coming in, they're going to be like right on the bubble. But I also didn't realize that Jaden Stone would be as good as he has been. I didn't realize that, Trent Pierce would take the leap that I feel he's taken. So the fact that they're kind of about where I worried they would be, that was my concern, is that this is where they would be. My hope was that they could be a team that makes a tournament and we don't have to sweat out Selection Sunday. And right now, we may not be sweating out Selection Sunday because they're not high enough on the bubble. So I think a lot of that does fall to Ant Robinson and into Dennis Gates as well, because he built the thing.
What's confusing too with Anthony Robinson is you look at like this mistake game. He had 9 points, which was just a welcome sight. He went 5 for 8 from the free throw line, made a couple twos, but he's shooting 4 threes. Anthony Robinson's not really a 3-point shooter. He's more of a mid-range guy who maybe can get into that step back 3 game, but he was seeking out threes. And for a guy that's been in a slump, I really don't understand that strategy. I don't know who's telling him to do that, because right now, as a guy trying to get out, go for the easy twos, get yourself some mid-rangers. Like, that's just what's been a little perplexing with Anthony Robinson, is he's trying to shoot himself out of this slump from the 3-point line.
And that's not really the way that it's going to work out.
No, not at all. Let's go to a quick break. Come back. Let's continue this conversation with Dennis Gates and maybe give a little prediction for this South Carolina matchup for the Missouri Tigers. He's Brendan Schaefer. I'm Grant Salzman. This is MIZ Central on the Loop Information Station. We'll be right back.
You've seen this. It's brand new. Are you online?
Oh, hey. Oh, so you're new here.
All right, let's get cracking.
Okay, then maybe you should check out our website.
You're insane.
Well, you download songs illegally from the internet.
LouInfo.com. The Lou Information Station. 590 AM KLIS, Wood River, St. Louis.
Our origin story began.
When you buy a hot tub, you want more than bubbles. You want value that lasts. At St. Louis Hot Tub Warehouse, their low overhead means premium American-made products priced better than the competition and the best price guarantee in town. They'll beat any local dealer on a comparable model. With over 38 years in business and 400-plus five-star reviews, you can trust they'll be there to service your spa long after the sale. St. Louis Hot Tub Warehouse, highest quality, best price. Visit besthotTubPrices.com today.
At Commercial Technology Solutions, we are all about solutions. We pledge that our sales staff will listen carefully to your needs and propose a solution customized to your business. Our services and tech support are second to none. When you establish your relationship with Commercial Technology Solutions, you can have confidence that your tech needs are in the hands of St. Louis's best. Contact them in Missouri at 314-421-3550, in Illinois 618-452-3550, and online at ctsphone.com.
LouInfo.com news headlines. Brought to you by Brown and Crouppen. GetBC.com.
With your LouInfo.com news, I'm Jared Cirillo. Illinois State Police are releasing body cam footage of a deadly officer-involved shooting in O'Fallon last August. The video shows two people covered in blood running from 53-year-old Matthew Blank, who was holding a knife while officers arrived at a home on West Madison Street. Police said Blank refused orders to drop the knife and advanced toward the officer, who then shot him several times. Rescue crews say a search at a creek in Brentwood last night turned up empty. Emergency crews raced to the creek near Eager Road after getting a call of a woman who was in the water. Nobody was found. State police searching for 5 people in connection to a fight on a Metro bus last month. Authorities say an 18-year-old was involved in a fight with another woman on the bus when 4 others joined in and began attacking her. The Lou Information Station is streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com. I'm Jared Cirillo.
Now, LouInfo.com weather. Presented by Home Bank. Member FDIC. Secure your financial future by opening a high-yield checking account today. Go to myhomebank.bank to get started.
Here's your LouInfo.com weather update. High pressure is moving into the Central Plains, and that'll be covering our area. 30 for the afternoon high today with a mix of sun and clouds. We're in the upper teens and clear for the overnight hours. Partly sunny on Thursday and about 10 degrees warmer. We'll be hitting about 40. Then we're near 50 for the high on Friday and sunny. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton for the Lou Information Station, streaming 24/7 at louinfo.com and the free Lou Info app.
St. Louis sports fans, now you can go deeper with STL Sports Central Insiders. Get exclusive access to Bernie Miklasz, Randy Carricker, Mike Claiborne, Jamal Mayers, and more. Plus, your chance to watch a Blues game in the alumni box with Jamal himself. Also, monthly giveaways, Bernie's columns all week, and you'll be supporting local sports media. Join now at s.com.
Listen up, fellow timeshare owners. If you're a timeshare owner and you want out at all costs, you're done, frustrated, tired of wasting money, you don't use the darn thing. Get out now. Hire the best Bulldog timeshare cancellation team in the business. Their in-house legal team, headed by a timeshare cancellation lawyer, can help you fight the biggest and baddest companies out there that sell timeshare. At some point, you were using your timeshare, but now you're not, and you're tired of wasting money. Before you go to the poorhouse, Call right now and learn how you can stop the maintenance fees and put more money back in your pocket. Their services cost you a lot less than you think, and you'll save a lot of money over time. Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline now. It's a free consultation.
800-824-5131. 800-824-5131. 800-824-5131. That's 800-824-5131.
Lunchtime just got a whole lot better at Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill. From mouth-watering wraps to loaded quesadillas to bold, flavor-packed sandwiches, Hot Shots has something fresh every single day, along with your favorite wings, burgers, and pizza that you know and love. And don't sleep on those Hot Shots tacos. Plus, if you gotta be in and out quick for lunch, Hot Shots has you covered every day starting at 11 a.m. Find your nearest Hot Shots Sports Bar and Grill now at hotshotsnet.com. That's hotshotsnet.com.
And we're back here on MIZ Central on the Loot Information Station, KLIS. And we have some breaking news for you as well. Honor Boateng, this is from the Mizzou Hoops, the Twitter page. Honor Boateng will miss the remainder of the season after a successful surgery on Monday for a left leg injury suffered during Mizzou's game against Mississippi State. So prayers to a speedy recovery for Mr. Boateng. Still a guy, Brendan, that I think has a lot of untapped potential. And if he chooses to stay with Dennis Gates and company in the future, maybe it can be unlocked.
Yeah, I would be surprised.
Yeah.
In another example of stuff that Dennis Gates just didn't need to say, 9 out of 10 times he would miss the rest of the season. I don't know what that means. Just don't. I mean, nobody else seemed to be as bothered about it, but it's like, that's like you're offering a percentage now. Like, why would you do that when you, anyway, it doesn't matter. We knew it was going to be probably a torn ACL or something related to the knee. Maybe it was a different knee related tear or something in the leg. But yeah, I mean, he was going to be needing a procedure. And so anyway,
do you think we'll ever get,
but
sorry, but did you have something to finish?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but as far as his future, like, he wasn't really mixing in the rotation very much, and the roster spot will probably be put to better use, given he'll probably miss, if it's an ACL, I mean, he's going to be out for 9 to 11 months anyway. So, which
sometimes maybe it gives him another year to mature a little bit, get stronger.
I wonder if he would get one of those waivers as well for another year.
I know he would get. I mean, obviously, we get a waiver for next year. But maybe he could get a waiver for this year as well. Then all of a sudden he's 21 with 3 years of eligibility, the way that not really cheating the system, 3 years of eligibility, because he has a redshirt year still and his medical redshirt year. So maybe he could use one of those this year.
I mean, he would be able to come back and play next year.
Yeah, probably.
It's not an injury. I mean, he would probably be, again, if it's an ACL, if it's anything lesser, then he would certainly be back for next November. But if not, by December, January, he would be able to play. So
yeah. Do you think we'll ever get an update on Javon Porter, or is he just totally out of the system?
Don't know. Not really worried about it.
Yep, I agree with you.
He was in that North weather category where he really wasn't supposed to play. So I hope the best for him from a health standpoint. But
yeah,
I don't think their roster is really missing him.
All right. Last grade, Dennis Gates. Because I don't know how to grade this man. Because on one hand, I have grown very frustrated with his coaching in the half-court offense especially. Obviously, his roster construction wasn't fantastic, which has put Missouri maybe in the spot that they're in. But I don't know if you can blame it all on him. He might have been working with limits outside of his control. But also, if this team somehow gets into the tournament, I think it's one of his best coaching jobs he's had at Mizzou. Because I think even now he's coaching this team almost he's getting a lot out of this team. He's coaching them farther than I thought they could even go, especially with wins over Florida and Kentucky. And then on the other hand, it feels like there's so much more. You look at the Georgia loss, like games that they're winning, they probably shouldn't be, and they're losing that they should be. He's kind of an enigma for me right now. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I think you're right about if they were able to pull it off and make the tournament would be one of his top coaching jobs. I would say his first coaching job here was tremendous, and the roster building was perfect. And this would be right up there with that if they could get there, because it feels like there are flaws to this team that could make it difficult to accomplish. But as of right now, they're not there, and they're not really knocking on the door of being there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I would say it's at absolute best, it's C-, and I would be inclined to go lower. I don't know that I will. I think if I knew for sure that they were going to, go what I expect them to go, which is like probably fizzle out a little bit, 8-10 in conference.
Yeah.
It'd be like D+ for me. D+, maybe still a C-, but I'll go C- for now, because I think there's room to tell the story of this season still. The non-con was pitiful. I dock him for some of the things he said during the non-conference play that just don't line up with reality, in my opinion, about it when he said it's a good thing for our program to be 9-2 or whatever the hell he said about their non-conference record when they were playing a bunch of HBCUs and small conference teams, other than the games that they lost. Like, no, that was not a notable record for your program. It's just not. Stop talking like that. Let's get to reality. So I hold some of that against him, but I still think like they're in the mix. They frustrate in some games, but like C-,
Yeah.
And look, if they make the tournament, that will shoot up. But as of right now, I expect them to ping pong wins and losses and kind of be 8-10. By the time it's all said and done, if they exceed that, the grade I give him will exceed.
Yes, I agree with you, and I think C- is the fair grade because, look, I mean, they got absolutely blasted by Illinois. They get a week off for the Christmas break, and they defeat the defending champions, where nobody gave them a chance, nobody really cared, and they go into Rupp Arena and beat Kentucky. Like that was that week stretch was an A+++. So that's helping him. The fact that in February the team's at a point where they have a realistic chance at making the NCAA tournament, I think alone gives it at least a C-.
Yep, and time will tell. Time will tell whether this is kind of their level or they fizzle at the end or they go on a run. If they go on a run, Dennis Gates will deserve a ton of credit for inspiring that.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about building the consistency. If he somehow gets them to 10-8 and they miss the tournament, I still think it's like a B season.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm not gonna really fault him for that. Especially unless they like lay a real bad egg in Nashville for the first.
Yeah, lose to Ole Miss again or LSU. Yeah,
that would be rough. But if they go 10-8 and win their first one in the SEC tournament and they still don't get in, that is what it is. Like they probably have their non-conference scheduling to blame for that. But frankly, they weren't going to go beat anybody in the non-con that was any better than the teams they played at the time. So,
not without Stone or Pierce. Right. So
now, do you get more credit for losing semi-respectably to good teams? Had they done it that way, maybe, but I think that's probably nitpicking at that point.
I think so as well. So looking ahead to Saturday, it's a noon tip-off. It's going to be sleepy in Columbia, South Carolina, but you have had the week. If you're Dennis Gates, you need to prepare this team like it's a Final Four game. Like, I know that sounds so silly, but like you got to find a way to fire them up for
season, man.
A bad team on the road. Nobody's going to be in that crowd in the middle of the day on Saturday. Like, it's tough, but this is what good coaches get their pay for, and you got to come out, and I want to see that Mizzou team that we saw that first 15 minutes against Ole Miss, except you got to find a way to put it together for 40.
Yep, I agree, and I'll predict a win. I think they'll be able to pull it off, but I think it'll be another ugly one. I think it'll be another game that's going down to the wire for sure.
That just feels like the entire time, man, Mizzou should be up 10 and they're up 2. And it just, they can't ever seem to really get at arm's length, even when they did at Miss State.
they're up 5 for they're up between 4 and 7 for a while, but then they give up a 3 and then it's 2. You're like, wait a second, that's a 1-possession game. Uh-oh.
You're feeling really comfy for a long time. Maybe you're watching the game, but maybe you're scrolling on Twitter a little bit. Then all of a sudden you look up and it's a 2-point game and you're a little concerned.
And you might even be able to say South Carolina first half. It might be one where the game starts and we're like, wait, what the heck? They started out gangbusters against Mississippi State. I hope they have that kind of start here, but on the road, sleepy environment, maybe that'll not be there. And I hope I'm wrong, but if that's the case, they'll have to find a way to dig deep.
I'll go 76-71. Missouri pulls it out. And if they do that, then we have another week on a Monday where it's an optimistic view and they continue to give themselves chances. I've seen brackets where they're last 4 in. I've seen brackets where they're last 4 out. And honestly, I will take that right now.
South Carolina's given up some point totals. 84 to Texas, 92. Granted, it was an overtime against LSU. 95 to Florida, 92 to A&M, 108 to Arkansas. You'd have to go back to the 20th of January. They held Oklahoma to 76. That was in a home game. Don't be the team that scores not as many points against these guys. But I think they will. But I like your score. What do you say, 76-71? I'll go 76-73.
Okay. And then quickly, Super Bowl Sunday prediction.
I have wagered on the Seahawks spread. I'm not confident in that wager. I think Seattle finds a way to pull it out, but it does end up being pretty close.
I'm going to do my best Lee Corso here. Seahawks win. Patriots cover 2017.
There you go.
It's a win-win for everyone.
21-17 would be for me to not win my bet because I got 4.5.
Very true. All right. He's Brendan Schaefer. I'm Grant Salzman. Everyone enjoy their weekend. Go Mizzou. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. Charlie Tuna and the Posse up next on the Loot Information Station.
This message is presented on behalf of Del Mar Mortgage. When it comes to buying or refinancing a home,